Truly living requires equal parts accommodation and celebration. This presentation is about showing how this applies to living and working with spinal adhesive arachnoiditis. Arachnoiditis is a grace-sucking spinal cord injury. It renders survival a conscious decision. The more informed we are, the better we are at understanding how our needs fit into the big picture and how to accommodate those needs, as well as what resources are available to make that happen. Sometimes there are no words to describe what you're going through, and so using a visual method or a musical method is more effective and allows you to gain insight into the words that you need to express yourself. New experiences often require a new language, and the arts can provide that, especially in a traumatic situation. Your comfort zone might not be the place to communicate the things that you need to say. So you don't need to be an artist in order to benefit from the creative process or to receive healing during that process. At the Foundation for Art and Healing, they study the science of creative expression as a path to healing and put it into action through their initiatives. They work toward broadening awareness of the power of art to discover, explore, and share what is most important to us as individuals, and ultimately, through that process, to heal. In that spirit, they offer real stories of hope, healing, and possibility to engage both those who seek health and those who seek to help.
Since the beginning of time, art and the creative energy behind it has captured our imagination, energized us, comforted us, and inspired us. Creative expression has an undeniable power, providing insight into what it means to be human. Is there something about creativity, how we engage with it and share it with others, that can actually improve our health? Can art be medicine?
Art has been around since the origins of our species, and in a sense, for it to have lasted as long as it has says something right away about how important and central it is to the human existence.
There's never been a culture without art, never been a culture without poetry, never been a culture without music. They must be delivering something to us that we really need for our psyches.
You think back to those days and all the challenges that existed just to survive and have food, but they still took time for art, so obviously it had some value for them. And that value clearly had something to do with health. We've forgotten the original stuff that worked quite well before we had all the sort of medications and other sort of technologies for treatment.
Here I am, a strong, physically demanding warrior. Why do I have to do art? I plan battles, I plan wars. I take life if necessary, if absolute necessary. I'm not doing art.
The first second that I started writing a poem, the first second that I started typing, I lived, I breathed a little bit deeper than I had that whole time, and it felt better than trying to communicate, with the doctors about how I was feeling, or trying to communicate with therapists about how I was feeling, because in truth, in those situations, people are trying to help you, but you don't necessarily know how you're feeling.
Creative engagement brings us into the moment. It puts us in touch with who we are and connects us with others. It helps us get unstuck and helps us move forward.
In very traumatic illnesses, in very traumatic situations like war, everyone is changed.
I lost 3 Marines due to IEDs I lost several of my friends on one deployment.
When I was 16 years old, I had a heart transplant. I was in the hospital for 3 months.
And I found it odd that each time I did something with art therapy, I felt better because there was something in me that was dying to get out. And through art, I was able to express it.
I remember writing about this. I remember writing to my heart. I remember asking it to please work with me. I remember really almost in letter form, just saying, I know that this environment isn't natural for you. I know that you are in a foreign place, but so am I. And together we can find a home.
The first thing is to think about something that you like about being at the hospital. Is there anything you like about being at the hospital? Is there anything good about being here?
It's essential to add other components than the traditional medical modalities. Anything from the use of artwork, the use of light, the use of drama, the use of storytelling, and the engagement of the patients and the patients' families in an art experience to help them have the optimal care that they deserve.
We are learning that storytelling and arts and emotional health is just as fundamental to well-being as your physical health.
And just thinking about it, talking about it, writing it down, expressing it obliquely, expressing it directly, that can help.
And one of the ways of doing it is to sort of say to yourself, I am feeling lousy today. I am feeling so goddamn blue and disgusted. You know, I could just scream. Take out a pad and make a scream. Whatever that looks like. You know, nobody knows what a scream looks like. Make your own scream.
Do you have a memory of the fall leaves?
Right.
What you used to do and play with them?
Yes, indeed.
And what would that be?
Pick 'em.
Pick 'em? I remember as a little girl, we'd have a bunch of friends and we'd just gather up all the leaves and make it into a big pile and jump into it. And you remember doing that?
Yeah.
Good memories.
I would have never talked about what this meant, but I was able to express it through something that everybody could see what it was and see what it meant, but it wasn't me. I was shielded in some ways. I was protected. I was able to express it in a way that was safe for me.
Trauma is actually encoded as sight, sound, smell.
A part of the brain that's involved in speech, called Broca's area, just really does not work as well when people with PTSD are trying to talk about their experiences.
When you're able to process what you've been through using the right hemisphere and then apply words, then you're then reintegrating the brain.
Arts can reduce stress and the emotional overlays that are associated with it, and stress and emotional aspects clearly are related to a variety of hormonal changes that can then lead to disease.
I really believe that in the next few years we will have some detailed answers as to what works, and those individuals that come in are studied intensely, and in doing so we are able to catch them in that free fall, but at the same time hopefully inform the system in months or years to come.
If all we did was sit back and wait to begin until something's proven, nothing will ever happen. I predict more and more we will learn the benefits of storytelling, of writing, the use of various art modalities, and we'll use that in our environment to create wellness and health and prove that it works.
My dream for this work would be for it to be accessible in all venues, in the clinics, in the community, in the schools. It's really such a valuable part of how to teach children and families how to deal with challenges in their life that I can't imagine a single setting that it wouldn't be appropriate to put it into.
Can you imagine if the prescription is not only for what the next pill is, or the prescription for how not to have too much salt in your diet, but the prescription could also be, where's your happiness? Where's your pleasure? Where's your artwork, your music? Come in and show me next time.
You don't need to be an artist to do this kind of art that we're talking about for healing. Anybody doing anything that feels good to do, that is getting something in you out. I think the beauty here is this is all very accessible to virtually everybody.
even though people might think that art is not the same as medicine, it was my medicine, and I think that without it, I just would have still been sick.
Through simple things, able to create something that makes it okay to feel the way I feel and help take that burden away.
Scientific research has already shown that harnessing the power of art can promote health and healing. It is now critical to expand these efforts. Exactly how creative expression promotes healing may forever remain somewhat mysterious, but the ability to draw on the power of art to transform and expand our lives, reduce suffering, and create new possibilities is beginning to be accepted as real medicine, as real as an antibiotic or a surgical procedure. Medicine has made great strides in the past 100 years. It's now time to go one step further by incorporating artistic expression into the ways we provide health and healing. All will stand to benefit.
Art does not judge or criticize your progress or emotions. It is an objective outlet for the healing process. Arachnoiditis is a spinal cord injury caused by the neurotoxins in spinal injections and invasive spinal procedures. This is a preventable, permanent spinal cord injury. The arachnoid layer exists within the spinal canal and is between two other meninges that make up the protective membranes which cover the brain and the spinal cord. These contain the vulnerable nerves which send messages for the bodily functions in all four extremities. At risk of oversimplifying, normally the healthy arachnoid layer protects the nerves within. Once this layer becomes inflamed, it can produce scar tissue which traps those nerves and obstructs natural functions. Anytime those trapped or inflamed tissues and nerves are disturbed, it can result in severe nerve pain and neurological dysfunction, which radiates through the entire affected area that is linked to those damaged nerves. Additional information about causes and symptoms of arachnoiditis are available at artforarachnoiditis.org. The medical community is just now beginning to admit the existence of arachnoiditis as a result of medical harm. This means that there is not a lot of information out there about how to help patients with arachnoiditis, how to relieve their symptoms, or to bring about a cure of any kind. Our choices are either to adapt or to give up. Art can help us to adapt. I developed the Still Standing project so that I could push my hands to learn or relearn fine motor skills and to find a new way to communicate because the old way just wasn't working anymore. There was a lot of repetition and do-overs and just physical changes in order to adapt, to make my hands do the things that they needed to do. I chose a new medium because I was just not able to create a new language with painting or drawing as I had done it for so long the same way. Using a new method made it so that I wasn't always retreating back into my old habits. This was an entirely new process. And that is why you don't have to be an artist to benefit from the healing that develops during the arts. It's important to try new things so that you're not making comparisons to the way you did it before. It's an all new development. You're developing new motor skills and new ways of thinking. And it's often easier to do that if you're not trying to do the actions that you did before the injury. Creative practice also provides a safe environment for self-assessment so that you can make a determination about what things are working and what things aren't, and how you can improve using the tools that are available to you. And this translates into your everyday life. It's not just exclusive to the creative process. Exploring the arts helps us to expand our vocabulary. Expanding our vocabulary helps us to shift our perspective. And we can choose in that process, and as we develop that vocabulary, whether or not the terms with which we define our lives are going to be negative terms or positive terms. This is a crucial part of the healing process. Time management became key to recognizing my body's strengths and weaknesses and accepting them so that I could acknowledge them and develop new ways to do things. Failure to pay attention to the necessity to monitor the time it takes to do things and how much time I have before my body ceases to function properly was very detrimental to my progress. And a simple adjustment about my perspectives on time makes it much easier. It's not exactly easy to implement that adjustment, and I still have to be reminded every day to pay attention to it, whether I set a timer or have a friend remind me. It's a very important part of living with arachnoiditis to be attentive to the amount of time we spend doing each thing. The creative process of art expression lifts morale, increases cognitive skills, decreases neurosis, stimulates the senses, and brings new energy. Many emotions are repressed, such as anger, depression, frustration, guilt, and longing. It's difficult to express these feelings to the people around us who don't really understand what it means to live and try to work with arachnoiditis. Art provides introspection, soul-searching, and a safe place to evaluate all of these things. In this place, we are allowed to stop and assess our own goals and desires, to connect with passions and talents we may have previously ignored, and to finally sort out what we really want for ourselves and what kind of shape our lives are going to take on this new journey. This is a quest for wholeness, and it's an inward journey to begin with. And it is only until we complete that journey that we can successfully live and be happy in the outward journey, visible to other people. Because arachnoiditis is caused by medical harm that is rarely compensated, there's little validation. Rarely is there acknowledgement of the actual harm that occurred, and quite often we're lied to. We begin to feel like victims, at least in the beginning. As we progress through this condition and find new ways to discover a life we begin to feel like survivors. And I see myself as a survivor, and I would like to share that with other people who have had similar experiences within the medical community, people who are coping with chronic pain, people who have medical concerns and limitations that keep them from doing the things the way that they used to. Art helped me to achieve my physical and vocational rehabilitation goals. Eventually, I opened my own art studio, and I found a lot of benefit from the art that I created here. I think that my adaptive methods can help other people find ways that work for them, to think outside of the box and to do things differently. Even if my way isn't the right way for them, maybe they can see new ideas that will work for them. So I launched the Arachnoiditis Survivor Portrait Project to spread the word about this injury and to give other survivors the opportunity to participate in the arts in a way that they may have never done before.
Hi, this is Sheila Kalkbrenner at Sheila Lynn K Art Studio, and I am an arachnoiditis survivor and an artist. Arachnoiditis Survivor is a portrait project exposing what it means to have arachnoiditis, what we do to live with it, the accommodations we make, and a way to represent the people who make up the community of survivors. This painting is called Honesty and Hope, aka No Pain, No Gain. It is a conceptual self-portrait painting that I did in 2012. It's depicting what it means to get up and face the day with arachnoiditis. Arachnoiditis means that I work when I'm laying down. So this is where I will be drawing the conceptual portraits for the Arachnoiditis project. I will be traveling and collecting digital photographs and doing personal interviews of each survivor volunteer. Drawing is the best media to work in laying down, so each conceptual portrait will be done in this style using this method, and from the photos and interview I will create a conceptual drawing like this. Something which depicts their personality and interests. Arachnoiditis means I have to travel when it's warm because my body perceives cold temperatures as pain. So I would like to travel during the warm season. Please donate as soon as possible. Anyway, I hope that you can help us make the Arachnoiditis Survivor Portrait Project successful. Thank you. $5,654 will help me reach the first 10 survivor volunteers. New volunteers are signing up each day. With your help, I can reach more volunteers, share our message, and hopefully prevent this from happening to anyone else. Thank you for your support.
The Portrait Project was my first attempt to reach out to other survivors to share my discoveries about the benefits of the arts in the healing process. This AIM Hatch Fund campaign eventually became the main funding source for our first exhibit. The Art for Arachnoiditis project and exhibit are happening because of your support. We thank you very much for your participation and encouragement, and we look forward to new things in the second cycle of the Art for Arachnoiditis project. A lack of understanding and acknowledgement about arachnoiditis often leaves the survivors to cope with the symptoms and the emotional effects by themselves. As the portrait project expanded and people began to hear more about it, it became obvious that there was a larger network of us, and I believe that we have all benefited by finding each other through this project. According to the International Expressive Arts Therapy Association, the expressive arts combine the visual arts, movement, drama, music, writing, and other creative processes to foster deep personal growth and community development. We promote the use of all genres at the Art for Arachnoiditis project to encourage the healing process. IEATA encourages an evolving multimodal approach within psychology, organizational development, community arts, and education. By integrating the arts processes and allowing one to flow into another, we gain access to our inner resources for healing, clarity, illumination, and creativity. The Art for Arachnoiditis project is gradually becoming a community for arachnoiditis survivors to explore the opportunities for healing within the arts. Currently, we have the website, which is artforarachnoiditis.org, where we provide survivor stories, healing art activities, and other resources for survivors. People following the project and participating in the project can join in on the Facebook page. We have a map of the survivors where survivors register their locations, and this is live at Google Maps. Each survivor has the opportunity to share his or her story in any capacity, whether they want to tell all the details or just a short summary. We have art exhibits, and we consult frequently with the Arachnoiditis Society for Awareness and Prevention, Life with Arachnoiditis, Arachnoiditis USA, and other support groups listed in the Facebook page. We continue to develop additional methods of outreach and conversation among survivors. In February of 2015, we were awarded fiscal sponsorship by the New York Foundation for the Arts. This means that now people can make contributions to the project that are tax deductible, and they will receive those benefits. It also means that the New York Foundation for the Arts will track those contributions, and I believe that it lends some additional credibility to the merit of the project. They will provide this service for the length of the fundraising and the duration of the project. Tax-deductible contributions can be made via the NYFA.org website on the Art for Arachnoiditis page there, or by making a check payable to the New York Foundation for the Arts and sent to Sheila Lynn K. Art Studio. From there, it would be forwarded and credited to our account. Survivors submitting art for sale to benefit the Art for Arachnoiditis project do so via an art in kind form. This is a donation to license the use of these images for reprinting at the Art for Arachnoiditis project. The artist maintains all copyright to these images. Additional funding will expand the reach of the Art for Arachnoiditis project. The project has shifted from a very personal one-on-one experience to become an empowering adventure in creative connectivity. We've developed a wonderful sense of community with survivors around the world, and I see this just expanding to include more survivors. There are really no limits on how many people can join and participate, and for me that's a very validating experience. I think it also provides some validation for other survivors to be able to see this information and this artwork out there and available to the general public. We don't get that kind of affirmation from any other source at this time. Acknowledging the need to adapt means that we have to find the tools to do so. There are many resources available about reasonable accommodations which are applicable to the workplace and living in general. Some of those resources are listed here, and there's an additional list available at the end of the presentation if you would like to access that. An Australian government initiative offers these suggestions for arachnoiditis in the workplace. These allow for adjustments and modifications. It's often the employer's misconception that adjusting to this condition would be an expensive thing and accommodating it would also be expensive. How an employer defines reasonable accommodations, especially the term reasonable, often pertains to the financial cost and the effort involved on the part of the employer. Quality communication between the employee and the employer is truly key to coming up with accommodations that allow survivors to remain employed and to maintain some sense of independence. My best, most productive days happen when I follow these guidelines for myself. I've structured my studio to accommodate whatever positions I need to be in order to work. This requires me to pay attention to what my body is telling me, and that's a conscious effort. Many of us forget to do that. I still forget. But the most productive days are when I take the time and I think it out and plan to change position and move my projects as needed or switch projects so that I can continue to stay mobile throughout the course of the day. So I developed this new way to work, and I'm going to provide anyone who's interested with an opportunity to try to see what it's like to be productive in a horizontal position. The makers of the ostrich cot, ostrich products, ostrichchair.com at Deltes have donated 4 cots so that we can make them available for you to do an art activity from this position. If at any time you decide that you would like to purchase an ostrich cot for use in your own home, please be sure to consult with an occupational therapist to make sure that this position is appropriate for your needs and to make any adjustments to the cot that will accommodate any physical limitations or physical demands that your body might have. I really don't suggest just going out and buying one until you know for sure that it is appropriate for you. There are certain physical considerations that you need to take. One of them being that you should only be in this position for about 20 to 30 minutes at a time so that you can allow proper circulation throughout your body.
Are you ready to play,